Back with another review, and again, this is for Carl Wheezer, who wanted me to review the Scooby Doo live action movies. So today, talking about and ranting on Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. Yeah, I didn't care for this film. It was a first time watch. I've never seen the sequel up until this point. And I get people don't like these films, that's fine. I'd much rather watch this film because Matthew Lillard, he's good as Shaggy, and he's good here in the sequel. He's definitely the highlight of these films. But this one, I felt they did a little bit better. With the sequel, while there's some aspects of it that is more like the cartoon because you have some monsters in there from the cartoon like the Black Knight Ghost and Minor 49er, but it's even more lowbrow. There's more gross out humor. There's more fart jokes. And it's just like, come on. And same director, Rajah Gosnell, who prior to Scooby Doo directed Home Alone 3 and Big Mama's House. And I know he would go on to direct Beverly Hills Chihuahua. So movies like that. And again, I'd much rather have, someone else to direct these films, whether it be a Joe Pytka, who directed Space Jam, because I look at Space Jam on how they balanced out the live action and the animation, but still have a good sense of humor. I wonder what he would have done with these movies. Or Brad Silberling, who directed Casper. Directors like those, not this guy. But the plot here to this movie, the sequel, you have the gang back once again, and the film opens up. You have this museum that's being attacked by, these monsters, and you have Alicia Silverstone in the film as this reporter who's trying to discredit the group here, Mystery Inc. And soon enough, you have monsters attacking the town, and it's up to the gang to stop these monsters, and that's the story here pretty much. And I keep holding this because I'd much rather watch this movie. But okay, talking about the cast with this movie, once again, you have the same cast with the, Mystery Inc. You have Matthew Lillard as Shaggy, which he's fine here. Like the first movie, he's definitely the highlight of the film. And he's more of like him and Scooby Doo in the first movie, they're more of the focal point. Here, he's still good, but not as in front, if you will. But Matthew Lillard, again, he's the best part of these movies. Freddie Prinze Jr. as Fred. I know some people out there don't really care for him as Fred. Yeah, but he's fine here. Not as, the first movie, you can say Fred was a little bit more full of himself. With this movie, they kind of took some steps back with that. Not as much conceited, that character. But, he's okay. Sarah Michelle Gellar as Daphne. Again, I like Sarah Michelle Gellar. I love Buffy, and she's not as whiny here like the first movie. But I didn't really care for her as Daphne. Maybe, I don't know what other actress you could have gotten to play that character. And from what I understand, the director wanted a real-life couple to play those characters of Fred and Daphne. So they got, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar, which I believe they're married. So, you got them to play these characters. Linda Cardellini as Velma. Again, next to Matthew Lillard, she's the best part, the best casting. Especially here when you have her in a red-hot dress. She looks hot. But then you cut to, where she's farting. You got a fart joke in there. And I'm like, man, come on. That just messes it up. That's a turn off right there. That's a turn off. Velma. You turn me off. But you also have in this film Seth Green, which, funny enough, the same year, him and Matthew Lillard did Without a Paddle, and that's a much better movie, better comedy. Peter Boyle in the movie. You have Tim Blake Nelson. So, and again, Alicia Silverstone. So you got some, familiar faces here. Uh, the cast, again, I mean, overall, Matthew Lillard's the best part of the movie. Um, really of these first two movies. And it's like I said, even for people who don't like these films, they will say that Matthew Lillard is the best part, and he is. Um, but again, Peter Boyle's in the film, Tim Blake Nelson, Alicia Silverstone's this reporter, and again, you have more, lowbrow humor. It's more fart jokes, more gross out humor. I didn't really care for the scenes where, for example, Shaggy and Scooby were trying out these different potions and, their bodies would change. You have, Shaggy where he gains a lot of muscles and, Scooby Doo would become this like Albert Einstein type and he's talking and you got scenes where Scooby is wearing Daphne's go-go boots or Scooby's in the club with an afro, and like bell bottoms, dancing to disco music, and I'm like, man, I don't really care for this stuff. But I can defend this movie. Like, I think it's done a little bit better in terms of script, in terms of humor. It's a little bit more smarter. It's a little bit more adult. Where this movie, it's more family friendly, but at the same time, and like I said, there's some aspects of the sequel that, okay, that reminds me of the cartoon. Um, it's almost like, I wonder, because I don't mind the Spooky Island in the first movie, but if you would have taken, let's say, the story from this movie and you put it in the first movie and maybe you could have done that. Because again, I don't mind the Spooky Island, location in the first movie, but, with this one, again, it feels a little bit more like the cartoon. But I wonder if you would have switched out the stories here, like have the settings and, being that you have all these monsters from the cartoon, show up, that you could have taken that, put it in the first movie and not make it as lowbrow, cut out the gross out humor and the fart jokes and, have it be a little bit more adult and have, James Gunn work on the script a little bit. It probably would have been fine. It would have been nice. So, again, there's some, portions of the sequel. I'm like, okay, this feels like the cartoon, but at the same time, it's more insulting. It's like, man, stop with the fart jokes. Stop with the, gross out humor. I swear it feels like, the Farrelly brothers had a hand in this movie. But again, you have, the cast in the movie, these characters that are trying to battle these monsters, and Alicia Silverstone from Clueless is trying to discredit the team here. And then by the end of the film, it turns out it was Tim Blake Nelson wearing a suit, that it was Alicia Silverstone suit, disguise, if you will. And didn't really care for that. But, and the film is short. I mean, like the first movie, or maybe it's a little bit longer, but, and the special effects, I mean, there's some practical in there, you can tell, but at the same time, there's some bad CGI in there, like straight out of the Ghostbusters reboot. Again, there's some practical that I will give credit to, but, there's some bad CGI in there as well. I'm like, come on, I mean, which I know this came out before the Ghostbusters reboot, but it just reminded me of that. And, yeah, I mean, again, I keep thinking that maybe if they had took the story and the settings and, the script, and they put it in the first movie here and maybe saved, Spooky Island for the second film, maybe it would have been a little bit better. And, you can still have, and that's the thing, is that you can have these movies be good and family friendly, but stop resorting to gross out humor and fart jokes, because it's stupid, and you don't need it. You don't need fart jokes to, you know, have a fun movie. I mean, again, you can still make it fun without the fart jokes. You can still make it fun without the gross out humor. And that's the thing I hate about this movie. The second movie is that it takes it too far in that realm. And again, while I don't mind Matthew Lillard, I don't mind Linda Cardellini as Velma. The scenes where she's in the hot, the red dress, I'm like, hey, she's kind of hot. But then, a second later, she farts. I'm like, come on. This is a turnoff. And, Seth Green, he's a, guy in the film, this character that Velma has a thing for. Seth Green here is kind of wasted, to be honest. And I keep looking down at this movie because I'd rather watch this, and I don't know what else to say about this movie. Again, the special effects, while there's some good practical in there, but there's also, some bad CGI, and it's like, just make it all practical. And stop with the gross out humor, which is why I don't like this movie. I prefer the first film a little bit more because at least it feels a little bit more adult in the script. This movie just takes it too far. It's like, man, I can see some cool things. I can see, some nice little elements there of the cartoon, and, just bad humor where Scooby and Shaggy are drinking these potions. And I get that there's some stuff like that they did in the cartoon, but it doesn't work here. And, then by the end of the film, where they're taking on all these monsters, and, it's kind of a CGI fest, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't care for this movie, the sequel. I'd much rather watch this, and I know I keep saying that, and I know, again, I know I should hate these movies. A lot of people do, but I can defend this movie a little bit more because of Matthew Lillard. Again, he's good as Shaggy. Linda Cardellini as Velma. And, Scrappy Doo being a villain I thought was fun. And, again, it has a better script. This movie, it's like, and again, the humor, I'm just kind of at a loss for words, but again, you can still have a good kids movie, but you don't need the fart jokes and, stuff like that. So, but that's my review of Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really care for this film much, but thank you for watching, and we'll see you later.